Next question, Laura Tingle from the ABC.
Thanks for observing the tradition, Prime Minister, of being here today. You mentioned a lot of times in your speech today the backdrop of global uncertainty, and while the US President has featured in our campaign, there hasn't actually been a discussion about exactly where that leads us. So I suppose what I would like to hear from you is, do you believe that given these new uncertain elements in the global outlook, we need to tweak our defence posture towards one that's more focused on the defence of Australia, aside from what we're doing with AUKUS? And does it also mean, given that you've responded to the US position on tariffs by reaffirming our view of free trade, that we should perhaps be joining a regional free trade bloc?
Well, we have very strong trade relationships in our region, and we've built on them as well through the work that we've done with ASEAN, hosting every ASEAN leader in March last year in Melbourne. What was important about that was the fact that every leader came. There were no deputies, there were no vice presidents. Every leader of those important nations came to Australia. I've hosted Prime Minister Modi here. I've hosted the Premier of China here as well, our most important trading partner. We have built up really significant economic relationships, and what will be the third largest economy in the world as well. We've improved our economic partnership with India. I think there's a great deal in which that can grow. The US tariffs need to be put into perspective. Our exports to the United States are under 5% of our total exports. And just to give one example, in the meat sector, what's happened because of the disruption between the US and China is Australian producers opening up greater opportunities of exporting even more to China. So out of some of these trade disruptions, what will emerge, I think, is, yes, some challenges, but also some opportunities for us. And that is what I'm optimistic about, and that is what I mean by serving our national interests. On defence policy, let me tell you, the Defence Strategic Review was about defending Australia. That was what it was about, and that's why things such as the production of missiles will happen. Manufacturing will happen here this year. So not just purchasing, not just procurement from somewhere else, but how do we become more resilient as a nation in terms of our defence policy? And that's why our $57 billion increase in defence investment is so important, but it's very much targeted to what are Australia's national needs as a result of our strategic review.
That review was done before Donald Trump came back into power, though, and he's upended a lot of things. Does it need a refresh?
You don't need a refresh to tell any Labor Prime Minister, the party of John Curtin, that we need to defend ourselves. I think it was a Labor Prime Minister who understood that the kowtowing to the UK, as it was then, wasn't going to defend Australia. And I'm very proud to be part of the same party that defended Australia. Importantly, turned to Curtin not with an election, because the existing UAP government, Conservative government, toppled out of office because people thought they needed the national interest defended, and it was Labor who did it then, and it's Labor that'll do it now.
Phil Curry from the Australian Financial Review.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, PM. I just want to come back to Michelle's point about sort of lack of commitment towards spending restraint or revenue raising to get the budget back out of the red. I know you've sort of ruled out a lot of things, but it's a pretty red-hot secret or unknown secret around Canberra that Treasury wants to go after trusts. It's something Labor looked at back in 2019, and there is support in your ranks, or has been in the past. Is it something that you would look at after the election in terms of the tax treatment of trusts?
What we're looking at is what we're putting forward at this election campaign. We want Australians to get lower income taxes. That's what we're looking at. And we have a comprehensive plan that we're putting to the Australian people.
What about making money?
Well, what we have done also, I mean, you're speaking to, there's a Finance Minister and Treasurer just here who 2 days ago put out our fully costed plan. Where is the coalition? We are now, just 3 sleeps away from the election date. But importantly as well, many millions of Australians, 1 in 4, have probably voted already, either through postals or in pre-poll, and people have no idea about what their cuts are. And Peter Dutton, in the debates that have been held, has actually said, and quoted John Howard as an example, that you can't actually come forward. It was in the Channel 9 debate where you were part of the panel. You chose wisely. That at that time he said, "Oh well, you can't do anything because you don't know the state of the books." I mean, if I had have stood here at the last election and just said, "Oh, we won't tell you what cuts we'll make. We won't tell you how things add up. Just trust us. We'll tell you after the election," I would have had an interesting and appropriate response, I reckon, and Peter Dutton deserves the same.
You did have changes to super, taxes on super. Is the caveat that anything you work on takes effect after the next election and then it's not breaking a promise?
No. What we're doing is putting forward our policies. They're out there, the costings we've put out there, and I await at some time, maybe next week, the coalition to put out theirs.